Do you ever lie awake at 2 a.m., your mind racing through all the monthly payments you somehow signed up for, wondering how you went from being a responsible adult to someone who's financing a bottle of body wash? Look, you're not alone in this. Right now, Americans owe over $5 trillion in consumer debt. That's enough to buy every NFL, NBA, and MLB team 10 times over. But here's what's really messing with your head. We're not just spending money we don't have anymore. We're being psychologically manipulated into thinking debt feels good. You've seen those buy now, pay later buttons everywhere, right? Afterpay, Klarna, Affirm. They're the reason you're splitting a $15 burrito into 4 payments of $3.75, and somehow convincing yourself that's financial responsibility. These companies have turned purchasing into a game where you always lose, but they've made losing feel like winning. Here's what should terrify you. These companies have spent millions studying your brain, figuring out exactly how to short-circuit your rational thinking and make you click buy when every fiber of your being knows you should close that browser tab. The numbers don't lie. Buy now, pay later exploded from $2 billion in 2019 to over $24 billion in 2021. That's not growth. That's a psychological epidemic targeting your deepest financial insecurities. Today, I'm exposing the manipulation tactics that have probably already cost you hundreds of dollars without you even realizing it. If you're ready to stop being a puppet in their billion-dollar psychological experiment, hit that subscribe button and let's take back control of your financial future. 1. The pain of paying manipulation. Here's the brutal truth. These companies have weaponized your brain's natural desire to avoid financial pain. Every time you see that total at checkout, your brain registers what psychologists call the pain of paying. It's a real neurological response that makes spending money feel physically uncomfortable, activating the same regions in your brain that process physical pain. But buy now, pay later companies have figured out how to hack this ancient survival mechanism that once protected us from financial ruin. Let me tell you an ancient story that explains exactly what's happening to you. In the bustling markets of old Persia, there lived a carpet merchant named Darius, who owned the most beautiful rugs in the entire kingdom. His carpets were works of art, intricate patterns woven with threads of gold and silver, taking master craftsmen months to complete. But Darius faced a serious problem. Whenever customers saw the full price of these magnificent carpets, they would gasp and walk away immediately. The pain of spending such a large sum was simply too overwhelming. Darius was about to lose his business when he had a brilliant insight into human psychology. Instead of showing customers the complete carpet with its full price, he began displaying individual sections. "Look at this beautiful corner pattern," he would say. "You can own this section for just a few coins today." Then he would show another section. "And this magnificent border design, also just a few coins." By the time customers had admired each section separately, they had mentally committed to the entire carpet without ever feeling the sharp pain of the full price. The genius of Darius's strategy was that he made customers focus on small, manageable payments rather than the overwhelming total. Each section felt affordable, reasonable, and almost insignificant. The carpet was exactly the same, the total cost was exactly the same, but the psychological experience was completely different. Customers left his shop feeling clever about their purchase, not realizing they had just spent a fortune on what started as just a few coins. This is precisely what Afterpay, Klarna, and Affirm do to your brain today. When they show you 4 payments of $25 instead of $100 total, they're using Darius's exact psychological trick. Your brain processes $25 as manageable, even though you're still buying the same $100 item. The manipulation gets even more sophisticated. They use bright colors for the buy now, pay later button, often pre-select it as your payment method, and place these options right when you're most emotionally invested in the purchase. Here's what the neuroscience shows. When people see smaller payment amounts, their brains register 40% less financial stress than seeing the full price. Companies exploit this by timing their financing offers at the exact moment when you're feeling buyer's remorse about the total cost. Stop falling for the Persian thread trick. Before clicking any payment option, always calculate the total cost and ask yourself, would I pay this full amount in cash right now? If the answer is no, close the browser tab and walk away. Darius became the wealthiest merchant in Persia because customers focused on beautiful threads instead of expensive carpets. These modern companies get rich because you focus on tiny payments instead of total prices. Don't let digital threads blind you to the financial carpet you're actually buying. Have you ever been shocked by having too many small payments at once? Leave payment shock in the comments if this resonates with you. Number 2, the loan stacking trap. Here's where this gets really dangerous. These companies have created what I call the invisible debt spiral. You think you're making smart financial moves, but you're actually building a house of cards that's about to collapse, and the scariest part is you won't see it coming until it's too late. The statistics are terrifying. 63% of buy now pay later users have multiple loans running simultaneously. That's not an accident. It's a carefully engineered business model. These companies make money in 4 different ways: merchant fees, late payment penalties, selling your data, and packaging your debt to sell to bigger banks. They literally profit whether you succeed or fail financially. Let me share a story from ancient Babylon that perfectly illustrates what's happening to millions of Americans right now. There was once a young, ambitious farmer named Ezra who had just inherited a small plot of land on the outskirts of the great city. Ezra was eager to make his mark and expand his farm quickly, but he lacked the capital to buy all the seeds he needed for a full harvest. One day in the marketplace, Ezra discovered that different merchants throughout the city were willing to lend him seeds for various crops. The first merchant, who specialized in wheat, offered to lend him enough wheat seeds for a quarter of his field. The payment would be due after harvest. It seemed reasonable, so Ezra agreed. The next week, he found a barley merchant who offered a similar deal for another quarter of his field. Then came the vegetable merchant, followed by the fruit tree merchant. Each transaction felt separate, manageable, and smart. What Ezra didn't realize was that each merchant kept detailed records and had designed their lending system specifically to encourage farmers to borrow from multiple sources. They knew that when debts were spread across different lenders, farmers lost track of their total obligations. Each individual loan felt small and manageable, but together they created an impossible burden. When harvest time arrived, Ezra was shocked to discover that his entire crop, plus the money he would make from selling his livestock, still wasn't enough to pay back all the merchants. Worse yet, because he had borrowed from so many different sources, he hadn't noticed that the total interest and fees added up to more than his land was worth. Ezra was forced to sell his inheritance and work as a laborer for the very merchants who had seemed so helpful just months earlier. This is exactly what happens with modern loan stacking. You finance a couch with a firm, clothes with Afterpay, groceries with Klarna, and suddenly you have $600 in monthly payments spread across different apps. Because they're separated across different platforms and payment dates, your brain doesn't process them as one massive debt problem. Here's what's truly insidious. 69% of buy now, pay later users are already carrying credit card debt when they start using these services. These companies specifically target people who are already financially stressed, offering them more rope to hang themselves with. They use sophisticated algorithms to identify consumers who are likely to take on multiple loans. Calculate your total monthly obligations right now. Add up every buy now, pay later payment, every subscription, every automatic withdrawal. That number represents your personal Babylon, and the merchants are waiting for harvest time. Number 3, the data harvesting scheme. Here's what they don't tell you. Every time you click that buy now, pay later button, you're not just borrowing money, you're selling your most valuable asset, your personal data. These companies are building detailed psychological profiles of your spending habits and selling them to the highest bidder, turning your financial behavior into their biggest profit center. Think about what happens during every single transaction. They see what you buy, when you buy it, how much you spend, what makes you impulse purchase, whether you shop when stressed, happy, or bored. They track if you buy more expensive items on weekends, if you make larger purchases after paydays, even if you're more likely to default based on your shopping patterns. This behavioral data is worth millions to marketing companies who use it to target you with even more tempting offers. There's an ancient Chinese story about a master fisherman named Wei who had spent decades learning the perfect fishing spots along the Great Yangtze River. Wei knew exactly where the fish gathered during different seasons, which currents produced the biggest catches, and what times of day yielded the most valuable fish. His knowledge had been passed down through generations and refined through years of careful observation. One day, a group of merchants approached Wei with an attractive proposition. They offered to pay him a small fee every time he shared the location of his fishing spots with other fishermen. "Think of it," they said. "You'll make money just for information you already have. You don't have to give up fishing, just tell others where you're going." The payment seemed insignificant compared to Wei's daily catch, so he agreed. At first, the arrangement worked perfectly. Wei continued fishing his proven spots while earning extra coins for sharing his locations. But as word spread, more and more fishermen began paying the merchants for access to Wei's secret spots. Soon, dozens of boats crowded into each location Wei had revealed. The waters became overfished, the noise scared away the remaining fish, and Wei's carefully guarded spots became barren. The merchants, however, grew wealthy. They had collected detailed maps of the entire river system, knew which spots produced which types of fish, and understood the seasonal patterns better than any individual fisherman. They used this information to start their own fishing operation and eventually controlled the entire river's commerce. Wei, meanwhile, found himself with worthless knowledge and empty nets, forced to buy fish from the very merchants who had promised to help him. This is exactly what buy now, pay later companies do with your financial behavior. They use your purchase history to create targeted ads that hit your specific psychological triggers. If you bought workout gear, you'll see ads for supplements. If you bought home decor, you'll see ads for furniture. They're literally using your own spending patterns as weapons against your future financial decisions. Here's the terrifying part. These companies can predict with 89% accuracy whether you'll default on payments based on your shopping patterns. They know before you do whether you're headed for financial trouble, and they profit either way, from your successful payments or from selling your debt to collection agencies. Protect your financial privacy like Wei should have protected his fishing spots. Use cash or traditional credit cards when possible, and never let companies turn your spending habits into their competitive advantage. You've just learned how billion-dollar companies use psychological warfare against your wallet, and now you're armed to fight back. The buy now, pay later industry isn't built to help you manage money better. It's designed to extract maximum profit from your impulses and insecurities. Here's your bottom line. If you don't have the cash in your bank account right now, don't spend it. Period. That simple rule will protect you from 99% of financial traps these companies set. Stop falling for the payment illusion. When you see 4 easy payments of $25, your brain should automatically translate that to $100 I don't have. Train yourself to think in total costs, not monthly payments. If this opened your eyes to how you've been manipulated, I want you to take action right now. Go check every app on your phone and add up all your current buy now, pay later obligations. Comment that total below with debt reality check. Seeing that number might be the wake-up call you need. And if you're ready to learn more about protecting your money from corporate manipulation, let me know what topic you want me to expose next. Credit card tricks, subscription traps, or investment scams targeting young adults. Remember, every time you resist their psychological manipulation, you're not just saving money, you're taking back control of your financial future. The companies betting against your willpower are about to lose a customer, and you're about to win back your freedom. Your wallet will thank you for thinking before you click.